Hi guys, today we're going to start 10.5. 10.5 is comparing and converting metric units. When we started this unit, I pointed out that the United States uses customary units and the rest of the world uses something else. Well, the rest of the world, or most of the rest of the world, uses metric units. Metric units are way easier to work with because they relate exactly to place value. Each unit is related to the next largest or the next smallest by a power of 10. So we've talked about powers of 10 before. So we're going to circle back to those because remember, everything's always connected and it always comes back. So they're asking us here to convert 15,000 meters to kilometers. So we're looking at meters, liters, and grams. We don't have three separate conversion charts here for length and capacity and weight. We only have one. They're all the same and they all work together. So if we're talking about meters, we're still talking about powers of 10. If we're talking about liters, we're talking about powers of 10. And if we're talking about grams, we're talking about powers of 10. So really, we only have one unit here or one lesson on converting metric measurements because it's all the same. If you can do one, you can do the other. So let's take a look here. Step one, find the relationship between the units. So how are they related to each other? They're related by powers of 10. So right here, this is saying meters are blank powers of 10 smaller than kilometers. So meters are smaller, larger. It gets smaller as it goes to the right, okay? So meter is the base unit. So for meters, it gets larger over here, smaller than a meter over here. So this is saying meters are blank powers of 10 smaller than kilometers. So let me grab my pen over here. So 1 power of 10, 2 powers of 10, 3 powers of 10, right? So we scooped 3 times to the left, 3 times, right? So 10 to the power of 3 is equal to 10 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 1,000, right? So there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, all right? So the next step is the same first thing that you think about when you are converting customary units. We have to figure out what operation we're going to use. So right now, I'm converting from meters to kilometers. So if I'm going from meters to kilometers, I'm going from smaller to larger. So therefore, I'm going to divide. Okay, smaller to larger, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide. So now I'm going to do my conversion. They gave us 15,000 meters, right? Convert 15,000 meters to kilometers. So we have 15,000 meters. We figured out that we're going to divide. We figured out that there are 3 powers of 10. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3 powers of 10. From meters to kilometers, which is 1,000. So there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So 15,000 divided by 1,000 is 15. So 15,000 meters is equal to 15 kilometers. All right, let's take a look at a couple more examples. I'm going to pull this up here. I'll post this for you also in Google Classroom, and it's on page 611 of your textbook also. Right? So it says here, convert 247 milligrams. All right, so we have to think about where we're starting from. 247 milligrams. Actually, let me change my screen here a little bit because it's making that go away. Sorry, guys. No. All right. All right, we're going to convert 247 milligrams to centigrams. All right, so we're looking up here, milligrams to centigrams. So the first thing we have to think about is, are we going from smaller to larger or larger to smaller? So the units are going from smaller to larger, right? Milli to centi. Centi, think about century. Cent means 100. Centi means 100. Milli means 1,000 million, right? Meal, and those of you that speak Spanish or another Romance language, meal means 1,000. Centi or cent means 100, and deci, or dec, D-E-C, or D-E-K, means 10, like a decade. Many of you are a decade or 11 years, or 10 years old or 11 years old, decade plus 1. All right, so converting 247 milligrams to centigrams. So we're going from milli to centi. Milli to centi. I don't think it's going to let me draw on this. No. Okay, milli to centi. So we're going how many powers of 10? We're going from smaller to larger. Milligrams to centigrams. We're going smaller to larger. So we're going to go ahead and divide, right? Smaller to larger, we divide. Do this every time, whether you're talking about customary or metric, okay? So we're converting into units being converted to a larger unit, right? Smaller to larger, divide. So if we're going from milligrams, if we divide by 10, 247 divided by 10, we're going to centigrams. Ooh, going back to earlier in the year, if we're dividing by 10, we're first going to go ahead and think about our imaginary decimal point in a whole number. And if we're dividing by 10, my number is getting smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move my decimal point to the left, and my new decimal point is going right here. So 247 divided by 10 is 24 and 7/10 centigrams, right? 247 milligrams divided by 100. So here's milligrams. I'm starting here. If I'm going by 100, 2 powers of 10. 1, 2. My answer is going to be in decigrams. I'm still dividing. And if I'm dividing by 100, sorry, I want the small eraser. If I'm dividing by 100, I'm still dividing, so my number's still getting smaller. But now I'm going to move it by 2 places, right? Moving that imaginary decimal point 2 places, 1, 2. So 247 milligrams is equal to 2 and 47/100 decigrams. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing to convert those milligrams to grams. So I'm still dividing because it's still going to a larger unit, still dividing, but this time I'm dividing by 1,000. So I'm moving my decimal point 3 places. There's 3 zeros there. 1, 2, 3. So 247 milligrams is equal to 247 thousandths of a gram, all right? Now let's take a look at letter B over here. So this time we're converting 3 and 9/10 hectoliters to decaliters, liters, and deciliters. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and erase my screen, pull this conversion chart back up again. So we're starting with hectoliters. So I'm finding them on my chart right here, hectoliters. The first thing that I'm converting to is decaliters. I'm going from larger to smaller, larger to smaller. So therefore, I'm going to do what? Multiply, right? So if I want to go from hectoliters to decaliters, I'm going 1 power of 10 smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply by 10. Remember, when I'm multiplying by 10, my number is getting larger. So I'm going to move my decimal point, in this case, 1 place to the right. So 3 and 9/10 hectoliters is equal to 39 decaliters. Now they're asking me to convert those hectoliters into liters. So I'm going 1, 2 powers of 10. I went from hecto to deca to liters, excuse me. All right, 2 powers of 10. So this time I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move my decimal point 2 places to the right. Okay, 2 places to the right. 1, 2. Don't forget, when you have that scoop, what do we have to put into that empty scoop? A 0, right? Remember that? we have to go ahead and we have to put a 0 into that empty scoop there. And if now we're going from hectoliters to deciliters, I'm going 1, 2, 3 powers of 10 now. So instead of scooping 2 times, I'm now going to scoop 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Starting from my original decimal point, right? I'm starting from 3 9/10 hectoliters. 1, 2, 3. I now have 2 empty scoops, so I have to fill both of those in. So 3 9/10 of a hectoliter times 1,000 is 3,900 deciliters. All right, let's look at one more thing that we need to take a look at. So right now we're going to take a look at comparing. Just like when we were talking about comparing customary units, when we're talking about comparing metric units, they have to be in the same unit, okay? So right here we have hectograms and we have kilograms, all right? So you can convert either one. It's up to you which one you want to convert. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to convert my hectograms into kilograms. So I want to know that 32 hectograms is equal to blank kilograms. So I'm going to go to my chart and I'm going from hectograms to kilograms. So I'm going from smaller to larger. And if I'm going from hectograms to kilograms, I'm going from smaller to larger. I'm going from by 1 power of 10, right? 1 power of 10, that's the comparison. 1 place value, hecto to kilo, 1 power of 10. And since I'm going from smaller to larger, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide 32 by 10. I'm going to think about where my imaginary decimal point in a whole number is, because this is a whole number, 32. And I'm going to divide it by 10 and move my decimal point. So 3 and 32 hectograms is equal to 3 2/10 of a kilogram. So I'm going to go ahead and write that there so that I can visually see it. And right here, I can fill in that 3 2/10 kilograms is equal to 3 2/10 of a kilogram. All right. Same steps as converting customary measurements, which you guys have gotten really good at. Use this right here. I'm posting it in Google Classroom, like I said, and it's also on page 611. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure when you're doing word problems, you're reading the word problems, you're taking notes, you're drawing a picture if you need to, and thinking about this every time you go to solve something. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Have an awesome day. Bye, guys.